And joining us right now, we are pleased to welcome back to the program the Director of Operations for UFC Canada, Mr. Tom Wright. Tom, thank you for joining us on this very busy week for you.
Hey, it's great to be on your show, and I hope you have a great trip down to Toronto. I can tell you we had a beautiful day today. The open workouts were fabulous, and everybody's getting pretty excited about Saturday night. It's going to be a heck of an event.
I got to say, Tom, I was very disappointed that I couldn't make it to Toronto a little bit earlier. I know that there were media workouts where the media actually got to learn from some UFC fighters, which I think is phenomenal. And I was actually training jiu-jitsu this morning. I would have loved to have been training under some UFC fighters in Toronto.
Hey, listen, it was a great event. I was at it, and Sean Pearson, who's on the card, of course, on Saturday night, he's fighting Lance Benoist, who's from St. Louis. He's in one of the Sportsnet prelims. He was there. We had Mark Bocek, who's fighting on the Montreal card in November, and Rory McDonald. And so we had these three guys, obviously great athletes, great Canadians, and they were showing their skills to a bunch of the media and to some old guys like me too. So it was fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun, and hopefully that can happen again when you guys come to Montreal. I will definitely attend. Looking forward to November 17th here back at the Bell Center. It's been a little while since you guys have been to Montreal. I mean, how happy are you with George St Pierre now officially coming back in his hometown?
Well, you know, it's not official until Dana's tweeted it. Maybe he made it official, while I was at dinner tonight. But I think it's one of the worst kept secrets that GSP is going to be back against Carlos Condit on the 17th of November. And you know what? I think everybody's excited about it. It's been 16, 17 months for George. He last fought at UFC 129, that mega fight in the stadium at the Rogers Center, and he beat Jake Shields that night, as you recall, and that was an amazing evening of mixed martial arts, an amazing evening for the UFC, and so I know everybody's excited for him to come back. I mean, a torn ACL is a really, really serious injury, but GSP is a really, really serious athlete, and he's serious about his craft. He takes everything he does very professionally, and if anybody can come back from an injury like that, it would be George.
I'm very excited to see George come back in Montreal. If George is successful against Carlos Condit, there is the buzz of the Superfight, Anderson Silva versus George St Pierre. Right now, they're saying if it happens, that it'll happen in Cowboys Stadium in Dallas. Is there kind of like a bidding war? Can you try to get that fight in Toronto?
You know what? I never bid, never have a war with Dana. So, that fight will be where it needs to be. There's stadiums in Brazil. I'm sure if that fight ever happened, Anderson Silva would love it to be there. There's obviously stadiums in Canada. There's one in your town, the Olympic Stadium. There's obviously Rogers Center's BC Place in Vancouver as well. And then, of course, there's Cowboy Stadium. But you know what? It's one thing to talk about a super fight. I think it's another thing to talk about UFC 154. But I tell you, I'm excited about this weekend. It's going to be a hell of a card. This is only 4 times in the UFC's history have we had 2 championship fights on the same card, and twice it's been to Toronto. So we've got John Jones versus Vitor Belfort and the light heavyweight championship, and of course the first ever flyweights, and these guys are great athletes. Joseph Benavidez and Demetrius Johnson, they'll put on a show, and then we've got the contender fights for middleweights. Michael Bisping, who is one of the great athletes, but also great promoter in our sport, and Brian Stann, who just he just likes to take about his business. These two guys want a shot at middleweight. They want a shot at Anderson, and so that's a really important fight as well. So it's a great card in Toronto, and if you can't be there live, watch it on pay-per-view. That's all I can say.
That Michael Bisping Brian Stann fight, very, very interesting on Saturday night. Brian Stann, of course, a Marine. A great military guy for the United States, and Michael Bisping, of course, from the United Kingdom. Now, in the countdown to the event, they've talked about the War of 1812 and different things going on. Now, of course, this battle will be done here in Canada. Where do you think the crowd will be in Toronto? Will they be on Team Bisping or on Team Brian Stann, as Canada, of course, still in the Commonwealth, but right next to the United States?
You know what? It's I think it'll be split. Maybe a little bit of an edge to Bisping, because I think he's just got a little bit more notoriety, and he likes to play the crowd, and he's good at that sort of thing. He's sort of his mouth isn't quite the same as Chael Sonnen, but he's well spoken. He's an articulate guy. He knows his sport, and he knows his craft, and I think the crowd may be in his corner. But regardless, these two guys are really serious. You don't get that many chances to prove yourself, to allow you to have that opportunity to step up to fight a guy like Anderson Silva. And these guys know it. These guys know that this may be the only chance they have. You lose and you're sort of back in the pecking order, and win, you've got a legitimate chance. And that's what these guys all want to do. They all want to win championships. They all want to wear the belt. And so I think they'll take it very seriously, and I think it's going to be a great fight.
And, of course, a championship fight on this card, Benavidez Johnson taking on Joseph Benavidez. It was scheduled to be the main event. Now with John Jones and Vitor Belfort, it seems like they're taking a lot of the spotlight. I almost feel like this fight is being overlooked. This could be fight of the year. We're talking about number 1 and number 2 flyweights in the UFC right now, and for the first ever UFC flyweight championship, everything on the line. This is going to be a fantastic fight on Saturday night.
Yeah, and these guys want to make history. You can only be the first champion once, right? And these guys definitely want to be able to be the first to wear the flyweight UFC championship or the UFC belt. And I've met both of these guys. I've spent some time with them. They're terrific young men. They're very well spoken. They're actually friends. They're friends certainly outside of the octagon, but they're very serious as well. And they've trained very, very diligently for this. I mean, Benavidez is 16-2, and I think Benavidez Johnson is 15-2. And these guys have great records. They're going to be incredibly fit. These flyweights are fast, and they're going to go for 5 rounds. Now, when you look at the heavyweights, sometimes the heavyweights can't last 5 rounds. Trust me, these flyweights, as you well know, they've got the cardio to last 5 rounds, and I think this is going to be a great fight that everybody's going to look forward to watching.